Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Constant Contemplations. Today is Monday, and you know what that means, guys? It's Movie Mondays. How it works is I go over a movie that I've seen recently, and we talk about it, see how I like it, and you get my thoughts on it from top to bottom. And this week, the movie we're going to be considering is Disney Pixar's Luca. Yeah, this came out not too long ago. Amidst the worldwide pandemic, which is still happening at the time of this recording. There's new variants every other day. So there's that. But we try to keep on fighting and continuing. So Luca. All right, what did I think about Luca? Well, I'm going to break it down. Luca is about a fish boy. Yeah, that's right, a fish boy. He's a fish monster. And he lives under the sea. And he basically lives this very mundane lifestyle. He has this job that he does. He's a shepherd, a fish shepherd or something. It's pretty vague, but it gives you enough information so that you're satisfied enough to know exactly what his life is like. And much like we've seen before, the classic trope of the kid that's the black sheep of sorts in his family. He has bigger dreams, bigger interests than the rest of his family, and yeah, that's what it kind of goes into. So that's the setup. Now, of course, his parents are very basic. They're very kind of satisfied with the life they're living, and they tell him time and again to not go to the surface. Bad things happen to fish people who go to the surface. And of course, you guessed it, what happens to Luca? Well, somehow he ends up going to the surface world where the humans are. And something crazy happens. He does not remain a fish boy. He actually becomes a real boy. Now, Disney did not take the time to explain why this happens in particular, but in my humble opinion, I don't think they really needed to. In this universe, that's just what happens to fish people. If they touch the air or if they go to the surface, they become human. That's all I need to know. And this kind of boils down to what I like about this movie. It's simple. And these days, people kind of disregard things that are simple. Like they feel like it needs to be complicated or otherwise it's not good. And that's not necessarily true. Yeah, sometimes intricate stories are great, but sometimes they're not. And sometimes simple stories are great, and sometimes they're not. And in this case, this was a very simple story that didn't need to go so deep into all of these explanations about why things are happening. It's just the truth of that universe. So I really like that about Luca. They didn't waste any time saying, oh well, he became a human, and they didn't need to go into, there's this artifact that causes fish people to become human. No, they didn't do any of that. They just simply stated, when the fish people go to the surface, they become human, period. So that's what happens to Luca. And then he undergoes all of these different adventures in the surface world. And that's the movie. Now, I think the thing that carries Luca the most is the characters. And in a story that's simple, you need to have great characters. If you do not have great characters and your story is just a very basic story, it makes for a mundane film. It's almost certain doom if you have a simple story and terrible characters. So Luca meets this other boy who was already a fish boy, and Now he became human and he goes back and forth, and he's been living that life for a long time. And they just have two different worldviews, it seems. And their personalities end up clashing from time to time. So I'm not going to spoil too much of the movie, but I am going to just talk about the different parts of the movie that I really enjoyed. One, I must say, the villain in this movie may not be everybody's cup of tea, but he certainly was my cup of tea. He was your neighborhood villain. Okay, he's the guy who's obnoxious, he's full of himself, basically thrives on being bigger than everyone else around him, and that's why he's feels like he's all that. So yeah, he's hilarious, and it kind of goes back to what I was talking about Luca being simple, a simple movie. Um, this isn't a life altering, universe saving movie. The stakes are not super high. It's not, there aren't lives at stake. There's no, cataclysmic events happening. It is really about a boy and his friends and what they perceive to be big, what they perceive to be life altering, that, in the grand scheme of things, aren't big, aren't life altering. Watching Luca actually brought me back to when I was a kid. Some of the things that I placed priority in, some of the things I felt were so big. And then looking back, you're like, actually, that was not that important. I don't know why I felt like this was my whole life being at stake, because of these, the thing I'm placing priority on back then. And that's the beauty of it. In my opinion, that's the beauty of Luca, is that in their world and in their minds, this is such a big deal. Now, what am I referring to? I'm referring to there's this moped, I guess you call it, a Vespa, a little vehicle, and Luca and his friend that he meets in the surface world, who was a former fish boy, they think that if they get this Vespa, this moped, all of their problems are going to be solved. Now, I don't know about you, but as a little kid, I could think of at least 6 or 7 things that became that for me. Where if I just got my hands on it, or if I was able, or if it's an experience, if I'm able to experience this, all my problems will be solved. Now, of course, as adults, you know, and and I know very well that life is rarely that simple. That problems cannot be solved with one little thing, or one or two little things. It's usually a entire sum of things that we have to do to solve even one problem sometimes. So yeah, that was remarkable for me. I was watching them, and yeah, that moped to me, as a grown adult, like, a moped is a moped, okay, whatever. It's, you spend $1,000 on it, you wreck it, you're not gonna cry a river about it. But for him, I truly believed watching it that for him and his friends actually, because there's more than one, that winning that race, winning that crash, that grand prize, and winning and getting that moped, I believed that they believed that that would solve all of their problems. I think it's another home run for Disney Pixar. I know it's a smaller film, and it's one that it wasn't even in theaters. I don't think it came out just on Disney Plus and was streamed, but it's still just quality. Um, the visuals, I mean, again, Pixar, Disney. It was a technical marvel. It looked so beautiful. And you would think after a while, years of seeing these types of movies, you'd get tired of watching them, seeing them play out on the screen. But no, it's still as marvelous as They were 10 years ago. They just are continuing to refine this already refined process of animating these characters and making them look great. Um, yeah, just looking at the world of Luca, seeing Italy because it takes place in Italy, and just seeing the environment, it was vibrant. I've never been to Italy, and yet watching Luca, it felt like I was there. So kudos, good job, Pixar, Disney, for making another visually brilliant movie. Another point of emphasis I'd like to make about the movie is the music. The music really it's one of the most underrated things that hold a movie together. Um, the music really transported me into that world. It had some classic Italian music playing at the beginning of the movie, which my kids love, and I love too. And yeah, just brilliant music. I If you haven't guessed already, I really like the movie, and I'm not even a big kids movie guy like that anymore, but I really did like it quite a bit. I absolutely have to give Disney some credit when it comes to their handling of certain characters. Firstly, there is a disabled character in this movie, and unlike a lot of movies or television shows or pieces of entertainment, they don't make that disability the character's identity. And what I mean by that is it's not, oh, well, look at me, I have this disability that I have to overcome and blah blah blah. It's not exaggerated, it's not in your face. It's just the character happens to have a disability. And I must say that subtlety is a breath of fresh air because that's how real life is. You come across a person with a disability, and with the exception of a tiny portion of people, that's just not something that's talked about. That's not something that's after the first few minutes is super noticeable or in your face. And Disney Pixar handled the handling of this character perfectly. This person is the father of one of the characters. He has a disability, and that's just his life. It's mentioned once, and he just continues on with his life. He's fully functioning. He navigates the world um, very well, and it's not some kind of pity party or anything like that. So I really like the way they handled that character in this movie. Another character that they really did well with, as I mentioned earlier, was the villain. Now, I love a villain with a good backstory. In fact, I almost always require a good backstory when it comes to villains. But in this movie, I didn't need it. I didn't need a whole explanation. Sometimes a person is a jerk because they're a jerk, because they haven't undergone development enough in their character to grow up from being a jerk. And I felt like with this character, that was the case. In his little world, he was the big man on campus, and he was a jerk. And, I had this feeling that, eventually he's still kind of a kid himself. Eventually, that guy, he's going to get older, life is going to happen, and he's going to grow out of it. So you could barely call him a villain because of the way he was. And some may disagree. Some may say he's very one dimensional and there's nothing compelling about him. But again, seeing that whole world through the eyes of Luca and his kid friends, he was a big time villain. This was the man that they had to conquer. This was the monster that they had to beat in order to get their beloved Vespa. So I think it was handled very well. I often say there's beauty in simplicity. Not everything needs to be complicated. Sometimes you can peer into this world and the rules are already established and you don't need an entire explanation. You just need the rules. And once you have all the rules set, that's it. And you can enjoy being in this universe for the time that you're in it. So, great job, Disney Pixar, again. I mean, I feel like I say this all the time. They have such a good track record, with the exception of maybe one or two movies. They know how to tell a story, and they know how to tell it well. And, you know, you got to say what you want about Disney taking over the world and buying everything. They're good at what they do. They really are. And I'm talking, they've been good at what they've done for maybe the last 30, almost 40 years now. Once they got over their little racism thing. But that's a story for another time. Guys, not much more to say about Luca. The visuals are great. Music is great. The story, simple and yet very satisfying from beginning to end. Watch it. Definitely watch Luca. I don't do scores really. I just tell you, hey, give it a chance or do not give it a chance. And on this one, yeah, definitely watch it. But with Disney Pixar movies, it's like you gotta watch it. It's a requirement now. It's a must. Enjoy Luca, guys. That's Movie Mondays. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow for TV Tuesdays.